break, and I needed to really reconnect with myself and resource and find more energy, more clarity. And I decided to quit my job and to go walk this Camino from Strasbourg, which is about 2,000 kilometers, 1,200 miles. But when I was walking and when I was interviewing all these people, for me it was so clear that I wanted to share the message of these pilgrims in a movie and show the magic of this Camino. So this idea came to me while walking. And I really saw the Camino as a good chance, like a good condition to help me get this clarity and this energy, and also answer some questions about what do I do with my life and so on. Who am I? What do I need in my everyday life to feel good? What are my values? What are my hard projects that I can pursue? What are the small steps I can do on this direction?
Hello, Pilgrims. Welcome to the Way to Your Why podcast, where we explore the journeys and reflection of those who have walked the Camino de Santiago. Today's guest is Pauline Wald, a writer, a filmmaker, and pilgrim who stepped away from a successful banking career to search for deeper meaning. Following that goal, she walked nearly 2,000 kilometers from Strasbourg to Santiago de Compostela, discovering along the way the power of slowing down, listening inward, and redefining success. Her journey later inspired a documentary and powerful reflections about purpose and freedom. In this episode, Pauline shares what the Camino revealed to her and how walking can transform the way we see life.
Just before reaching my 30s, I leave my Parisian desk life and decide to walk from Alsace in the direction of Santiago. I discover that we are numerous people walking. I am wondering why so many people living a comfortable life decide to take a backpack and walk.
T'es comme un oignon, t'enlèves des couches, des couches, des couches et des couches, tu pleures, tu pleures, tu pleures.
I really thought that it will be like hiking as usual.
Today is really raining and shit, wet.
The Camino helped me to heal myself.
J'avais besoin de vivre et de ressentir. On marche, on sent notre corps, donc on sent qu'on habite quelque chose et qu'on s'habite soi-même.
Quand on marche, j'ai vraiment l'impression qu'on laisse la vie faire les choses en fait. Alors que dans la vie de tous les jours, des fois on est plus sensible en fait à ce courant de vie.
Tu sais pas ce qui va se passer entre ton point A et ton point B, et tu te rends disponible pour ce qui arrive.
You are genuinely being guided by something.
Chaque jour c'est une occasion d'évoluer, de grandir, chaque journée c'est une nouvelle aventure.
So, welcome, Pauline. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much, Efrain, for hosting me on your podcast. I'm doing good. And you?
Very good, thank you. So, and then the first question that I would like to ask you, how do you get involved with the Camino de Santiago?
So, I'm French. So in France, you hear a lot about this Camino. So I was hearing conversation in my family saying, oh, this Camino is magical, or my dream is to do it. And at some point I met a woman who did it, and she spoke to me about it with a lot of light in her face. And speaking with her, I had a good feeling. I really had goosebumps, and I knew I wanted to walk this Camino one day. And this is what happened later.
Okay. And how much take to you from the time that you talk with that woman about the Camino to actually walk the Camino?
It took about 2 years. when I met this woman, I was already asking myself some questions about, do I stay in my job in the banking group or not? And actually, after 2 years, I was there. So it's not that much.
Okay. And between those 2 years, do you do a lot of research about the Camino?
So I did a little bit of research, but like my uncle did it also in this time. So he came to me saying it was really, really nice. And so I was lucky to have this person that could also help me a lot to prepare it. And I did more research when I decided to go there. I went to forums to understand how to prepare my backpack, how is the accommodation there. I went to see associations about Santiago. I spoke with a lot of associations that can give me some information.
Okay, and what's the name of the association in France for the Pilgrims? What is the name?
So you have one association per region in France.
Okay.
So you have a lot of associations. So because I started working from my childhood house in Alsace, I went to see it's called if I translate it in English, it's going to be the Friends of Santiago in Alsace.
Okay.
So I spoke with these people, and there is one association like this in every region. So because in every region it's a little bit different, the way you accommodate and the rules and also the map. They gave me the map and everything.
Okay, and before you start walking your Camino, you were working in a bank, right?
Yes, I was working in a banking group since 7 years. This was the career that my parents wanted for me, but I was really not happy in this career. I felt it was lacking meaning, and I was very stressed out. Also, I was working a lot, and I had the first symptoms of burnout after 7 years.
So you were in a bank 7 years?
Yes. I did a business school in France, and then I started working in Paris in this banking group, and I stayed 7 years, yeah.
Okay, and then what was your last position when you were working on the bank?
So my last position was internal auditor. I don't know if you know what it means.
Yeah.
So my position was like kind of controlling the financial documents and make sure the regulation is applied. But I was internal auditor, but a senior internal auditor. Yeah.
So you need to travel a lot?
Yes. Yeah. I traveled a lot. Yeah. I was traveling all around France. Sometimes I would go a little bit also abroad, but this is something I love, to go abroad. I went to a little island near Australia, which is called New Caledonia, to do a mission there. So this is something I really love, to go abroad, but mostly it was more in France.
Okay, yeah. I have a friend a very good friend that he worked on the health side, and he's an auditor as well, and he's traveling a lot all around the world.
This is amazing, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's very, very busy time, so I understand you when you say then it was very stressful to travel all around and then working and all those activities that you used to do. So, and that made you to take that decision to say, this is the time to walk the Camino. Is that what happened?
Yeah, what happened is that I had the first symptoms of a burnout. And I was asking myself this question again and again: what is my path? I want to recognize myself in my job. I really wanted that. And I started to study psychology, but I was not sure to become a psychologist. But during 3 years, like after 4 years working in the banking group, during 3 years, I studied psychology at distance. So it was even more stressful because during the weekends, I was studying psychology. And after, I was reaching the first 3 years of my degree, I still had 2 years to do to be a psychologist. And I knew I could not stay 2 more years in this company because for me, I felt that if I would stay, I would die, kind of. It was too much. I couldn't do more. And I knew I needed a break, and I needed to really reconnect with myself and resource and find more energy, more clarity. And I remembered this conversation with this woman that walked the Camino, and I decided to quit my job and to go walk this Camino from Strasbourg, which is about 2,000 kilometers, 1,200 miles. And I really saw the Camino as a good chance, like a good condition to help me get this clarity and this energy, and also answer some questions about what do I do with my life and so on.
Okay. And what made you the decision to start walking from where you live, 2,000 kilometers, instead of going through Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port and starting from there? What made that decision?
Actually, I wanted to have a long walk. I wanted to have a long experience because I was feeling so tired, and I felt that I needed to really walk a lot. And I knew that the pilgrims the pilgrims from the first pilgrims from Middle Age, do you say that? Middle Age? They started walking from home. This was the tradition. So I read that they started from home at the beginning of all of this, when they were walking to the sepulchre of the apostle Saint James. So I wanted to do the same, because for me it was very meaningful to start where I was. And I quitted Paris, and I put all my stuff at the house of my parents, and I was like, okay, now I'm in this house. I will start from the region of my childhood, and this was meaningful to me.
Wow, that's amazing. And how long does it take the whole journey?
Actually, it depends how much you walk per day. For me, I took my time. I also had some breaks sometimes, So it took me 4 months.
4 months?
Yeah. Okay. Which is a lot. It could have been done in 3 months if I would have walked a little bit faster. But I'm not the most sportive person. So, yeah.
Okay. And you decided to walk by yourself, or was somebody else with you?
I studied all by myself, and sometimes I met people around the road, but I did it by myself, yes. I wanted to walk alone because I wanted to follow my own rhythm. I wanted to be open to meeting new people, and for me it was nice to be alone at this time.
Okay. And do you feel safe through the Camino?
Totally. Yeah. I felt completely safe. I felt more safe than in Paris on the evening, wow. Yeah, because when I was living in Paris, I was not in the most beautiful, mostly in Paris, if you are in the streets late at night, you would feel a bit insecure as a woman. And I felt safer on the Camino. But it's not because I felt safe that the risk is zero. So, but I can say, I think there are not so much problems in this Camino. I think people are quite protected. And I also spoke to an association, this association, Friends of Santiago. I spoke with them, and they told me they never hear any story about harassment on the Camino. So it doesn't happen a lot. And I can confirm that when you are a woman, it's a good place to walk.
Yes, because actually there are a lot of women that walk by themselves, and all of them, at least the one I've talked to, they say that they have feeling safe. One is my wife inclusive, because she did the Camino from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port to Santiago, and she was by herself.
Wow.
And she felt safe as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow.
Okay. And then before going to Santiago, because you started in France and you walk a long distance in France, what was the most that you like where you walk in that section?
Oh, that's a good question. I really liked crossing the Aubrac region. It's just after Le Puy-en-Velay. It's in the mountains a little bit. It's very beautiful to be on the mountains. I also there is a small city which is called Conques.
Okay.
It's a very beautiful city without any cars. It's really in the middle of nature. So I have a very good memory of this city. And what else? I liked also crossing the Pyrenees, of course, the walk from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port to Roncevaux was very beautiful, the crossing, of course. So yeah, I would say that.
And that part when you are going from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port to Rosenvalles.
Yeah.
I understand that in the middle, I believe there is a little town that is called Horizon, right?
Yeah.
And so, and I understand that part after Horizon to Rosenvalles is kind of very difficult. How do you feel on that part?
It's very difficult, but I already walked 2 months at that moment. So I was trained. But
so you were super trained by that time.
Yes, but when I went back on the Camino, because this is something also, I went back there after 2 years. And I was not so trained because I started just 2 days before. And this was terribly hard. This was very hard. When I was not trained, it was terrible. I suffered so much that day. So yeah.
So for that part, what would be your recommendation for someone that is gonna start it from there? That need to do, what kind of training would you recommend to that person?
So if you want to start at Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, I would suggest you to walk every weekend if you have time around your place. Try to train to be sure you can make 20 kilometers easily. Do it several times. Also, there is a big difference between 20 kilometers on the flat road and 20 kilometers in a mountain. So yeah, if you have mountains around you, try to do that. If you don't, you can at least try to walk 20, 25 kilometers on the weekend. But you can also decide to start walking 3, 4, 5 days earlier than Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. This would be also a good option. If you cannot train that much, you can also start before and do 5 days at least of walking before reaching this specific step.
Okay. And what would be a good town to start those 5 days prior?
That's a good question. To be honest, I don't have the map in front of me right now.
For example, from Biarritz to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, do you know how long is walking or no?
I think it's not bad to start from Biarritz. I would say maybe it's at least 3 days, I would say. Okay. So it could be a good option. Let me check.
That terrain from Biarritz to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port is not that mountain like the Pyrenees, right? It's totally different.
Not that much in the mountain. Maybe actually it's only 1 day from Biarritz, but maybe you can start from Orthez, or Aire-sur-Adour. Aire-sur-l'Adour, it's called Aire-sur-l'Adour. This would be a good place to start. It's on the Camino from Le Puy. I would say this would be even better because then you would have at least 4 days from Aire-sur-Adour. Yeah.
Okay. So then those 4 days are gonna prepare you for that big day from Saint-Jean to Rosenvalles.
Yes, that would be good.
Okay, well, that's good. Then once you start going on the Spain area, so you start going, then you go through Pamplona and all different towns that you were there.
Yeah.
What captivated your attention?
So for me, the beginning of this Spain Camino, what I loved, to be honest, is to be in Spain, to speak Spanish. I speak a little bit of Spanish, so I was speaking with the people there and meeting people from different countries. So this was for me amazing. I cannot say I was particularly touched by the landscape. It was beautiful going through these cities. I really liked Pamplona, for example, and so on. But it was the people I met that was the highlight of this moment.
Okay. And what was the time of the year that you were walking, you start walking?
So I started to walk from Alsace in August, and I arrived in Santiago in December. So I walked actually in autumn a lot. And this was amazing for me because it's not so cold in Spain. Sometimes I was walking with a t-shirt, so it was really perfect. And also there are less people on the Camino Frances at that time because I was on the Camino Frances mostly in November. This was my month there. And we were a small group of people, 20 people, 25 people. We would meet again and again. And I think, for me, it was amazing to be, that this time was a good time.
Okay, and then it was a snow or no snow at that time?
There were a little bit of snow when I reached what we called Le Mont Cebreiro, Mont Cebreiro. You can see it in I did a movie, but this is we can speak later, but you can see it in the movie. There is a bit of snow there because it's in the altitude. Mont Cebreiro. But except for that time, there were no snow. It was mostly sunny and very, very. I was very lucky. It was not so cloudy.
Okay, you are talking about Cebreiro, that little town that is on the hill, from the top of the hill. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know several people around there. I've been talking to because this is a very small town, as you know.
Yeah.
And so the views from there are beautiful.
I loved it. This was one of the highlights of the Camino Frances to me, to reach that place, and I really loved it, the landscape and the view.
And for you, which one is gonna be you consider that is more difficult? That hill for going to Cebreiro or the one from Saint-Jean to Roncesvalles?
To me, it's clearly the one from Saint-Jean to Roncesvalles. Yeah, I would say that for sure.
Okay, well, that's good. Then you continue walking, that walk. So, and what happened when you arrived to Santiago?
So when I arrived to Santiago, actually I was imagining it so much in advance. I was imagining myself to arrive and, all this magic, entering the cathedral with my backpack and saying thank you to St. James and so on. And because when you walk so long, you think a lot about this moment. But to be honest, it was a little bit disappointing to me because I arrived in the city and it was raining so much that day. It was a bit hard for me to find the cathedral. And when I arrived in front of it, the guardians tell me that I cannot enter because I have a backpack.
Oh.
So I had to put my backpack in a place that were like 15 minutes of walking from the cathedral. Had to pay for letting my backpack somewhere because I didn't choose my albergue yet. And so this was a little bit confusing, of course. But at the end, I finally went to this cathedral and it was very, very moving to me to arrive. But I cannot say I felt something crazy. For me, it was more touching to arrive at the Cap Finisterre, Finisterre, because I was in front of the ocean and I saw the sun going down in the ocean. And for me, this was a little bit more magical at that time.
Okay, so that first time that you walk, you then, after Santiago, you continue to Finisterre?
Yes.
Okay,
I still had a little bit of time, so yeah, I went to Finisterre. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty good. And then, so you went also to Moksha or just to Finisterre?
No, only Finisterre, but I would love to go to Moksha one day. It seems amazing also to finish it that way.
Okay, that's fine. And then, after that time that you walk, then you start thinking, or you were already thinking about doing your movie? How does it go?
So the idea of making this movie happened to me while walking. I just wanted to make some interviews. At the beginning, I wanted to make some interviews to put on a YouTube channel I have. interviews of pilgrims, but I didn't have the idea of doing a movie. And I'm not in this field. I don't know how to do a movie, actually. I'm not at the beginning in this Camino, I was not in this field at all. But when I was walking and when I was interviewing all these people, for me, it was so clear that I wanted to share the message of these pilgrims in a movie and show the magic of this Camino. So this idea came to me while walking. And because I was already walking for a long time, like 1 month and a half, I think I was more open also to follow the idea.
Okay. And that movie, you came back to the Camino again to do the movie?
So yeah, this is one of the secrets of the movie. Actually, what happened to me is that I decided to do a movie, and at the moment in which I wanted to do a movie, I spoke about it to people in the albergue, and I met a guy from Spain who filmed me during a long time. We worked together during 1 week, and he was filming me, and I was so lucky because thanks to him, I had a lot of amazing footage. So what I did when I had the idea is that I filmed as much as I could, and I was helped also by him and other people, and I started to do my interviews. But then I realized when I arrived back home, I realized that I didn't have enough image of the beginning of the Camino. So I decided to go back to the Camino the next year to make more image of people that I met but I didn't interview, and also the landscape. So I came back on the Camino for that purpose.
That's a very good excuse to go to the Camino again.
Exactly, I had to because of the movie.
Okay, and then how long take to you then to put that into production, that movie?
So it took quite a long time. It's hard to answer the question because sometimes I was not touching the movie during 2 months and I was going back on it. What happened is that after the Camino, I really worked on the movie during several months. I was trying to do something, looking at all the footage I had and making editing. Then I realized that, I didn't have enough image. I let it be during 2 months. I went back on the Camino, then I did editing again. So it took, if I will have to answer that question, I think it took me at least 6 months, almost a full time, because I had a lot of footage. It was a lot, and I was learning how to make a movie. I did it myself, the editing. I didn't hire someone.
That's perfect. That's amazing. And what is the name of the movie?
The name of the movie is Path of Life.
Okay.
Paths of life walking toward your essential. So the path of life, it's like PATHS with the S on path, and walking path of life walking toward the essential.
Okay. And if someone wants to watch that movie, what do they need to do? How they can find the movie?
So they can simply go. Actually, there are 2 ways. First, if you have Amazon Prime, it's on Amazon Prime. That's the first thing. I know a lot of people have Amazon Prime, so you just type this title. It's in Amazon Prime UK and US. So it's already good. And if you don't have it, I put a link on my website. So if actually you would, my website is Pauline Wald, so my name, paulinewald.com/the movie. Let me check if it's really that. Yeah, I think so. So I put a link so you can buy it. So yeah, it's www.paulinewald.com/the movie. Actually, you will see it on the website directly. So I put a link. So if you buy it, you also support the project because I had some cost to do it. So it's nice. But you can also have it on Amazon Prime if you have it.
Okay. Well, that's really good. So Pilgrims, you know then how to watch the movie if you are interested to know more about what Pauline Wald did while she was walking the Camino Frances. And then so you mentioned also that you were studying psychology. Did you graduated or you finished your degree?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a degree in clinical psychology, so I am a psychologist, and I could work in hospitals and so on. But I realized after I wanted to finish this degree, because for me it was important to really go until the end of that. But I realized that when I started to work, because during my master degree I was working with different people in hospitals, psychiatric hospitals in France, and I realized that for now I was not ready to really do this job. Because for me, so during my master degree, I did several, I had an experience as an intern in a psychiatrist hospital in which I was working with a psychologist. We were together doing the sessions, and I realized that for now in my life, I'm not ready to be a psychologist for different reasons. But I realized that for now it was not so, it was difficult for me to work and to be good in this job. And I decided to put all my energy to finish the movie and to write books. I chose this path, and I also decided to help people to write their own book, like autobiographic books about their lives. I decided to use the psychology degree in another way, which is helping someone that wants to write about her or his life.
Okay. Well, that's amazing. And
Thank
then
you.
psychologists have a lot to do also with what happened to all of us every day.
Yeah.
And the Camino is, I interviewed someone that told me that the Camino, if it could be a medicine, it could be a very good medicine for your soul.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
This was the reflection I had when I went back from the Camino and I started to work in a psychiatric hospital. I was really thinking, these people, they would really benefit from the Camino. Because you have the movement of the body every day, which is so important. You have the nature, you have the sun, you have the very meaningful encounters, people that are so benevolent. You have all these ingredients, and you also have spirituality, which is so present on this Camino. And all of these together create very good condition to feel better and to reconnect with yourself. So I totally agree.
Yes. And I would say even more that if, like you were saying, that you were almost close to burnout while you were working.
Yes.
And if companies or the HR department look into that the seems like the Camino, but not necessarily the Camino de Santiago. I'm talking about doing activities outside. The benefit of that, they will start investing more money in programs like that.
So true. It's really needed, especially in the companies and so on. It would be a very good idea to do this, yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing is that if they start doing it like that, they're going to be more productive, because when someone goes to an activity like the Camino, they see so many things differently that when they return back, they try to do kind of those stuff at their work.
Exactly. Like they can apply the spirit of the Camino on their job. And for me, the magic of this Camino is that everyone is really trying to contribute to the collective. You have the people in the albergue, the people who are walking, everyone is helping each other all the time, and everyone is walking also in the same direction. So I think there are a lot of stuff to do in the companies, like it would apply very well to a company. So true.
Yes, that's correct. And then because it's the same goal, because everybody's going to Santiago, then you have a common point of have the same conversation with other people as well.
Exactly.
And then when you start that conversation, another topic can come out, and then talking about other topics as well. So they share their knowledge of or what they would do in this case, etc., etc.
So true. And this is also something that I loved, is that we are all walking in the same direction. And like, of course, at the beginning, you will ask the person, where do you come from? Which step do you go? But quickly you would start to go into more profound conversation, and people will open quite easily on this Camino, much more than in the everyday life.
Okay, so talking about it now about your books, because you also are a writer. How
Yes.
many books have you written?
So actually, so I wrote a first book, which is Walking Toward Your Essential. So this is the French version, but it exists in English. It's called Walking Toward Your Essential. And actually, basically, it's really like in this book, I'm speaking about this 4 months journey, and you walk with me, on the Camino, and I go a little bit deeper than in the movie, because in the movie, as you saw it, I interviewed a lot of people. So you see me, but you also see a lot of people. But I go a little bit deeper in the book, and also I meet other people that are not in the movie, and so on. And then I wrote another book about another experience, which is not the Camino. I traveled in Ecuador. Unfortunately, this book doesn't exist in English yet, but I traveled in Ecuador and I tried to understand the culture of the people there, like especially I met some shaman and their relation to nature and so on. And I also wrote this is a writing journal that I did that exists in English. And actually every day it's called Journeying Toward Your Essential. And every day you have a small reflection about the Camino that inspires from the Camino. And you have writing questions that I ask myself while walking. And this question helped me to change something in my life. I went back to the basic. Who am I? What do I need in my everyday life to feel good? What are my values and what are my hard projects that I can pursue? What are the small steps I can do on this direction? I asked myself a lot of questions, and I created this so people can bring it on the Camino, or they can also do it back home to really, it's introspective, if you want to connect to yourself through writing. This is something I did, and this is also in English.
Oh, that's pretty good. So, Pilgrims, you know that now you can look for those books. And are those on Amazon?
Yes, they are all on Amazon. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so if you're interested, so you can get it on Amazon, those books. And then, any projects that you are thinking in the future?
Yes, I think I want to go back on the Camino in 2026, for sure. I'm not very original, but I may go back on the Camino Frances on the autumn. I will see if I can find time for that. But I also like to travel, I like also there is a country I love, is Thailand. And I would love to go back also to this country, and I love the population. People are very, very nice and interesting, and they are, most of them are Buddhist, so they have a very good philosophy of life. And I would like to go there and maybe interview some people there, but it's not completely clear. Also, what I'm doing right now is that, I'm projecting my movie, which is called Path of Life. I projected it in cinemas in France. This is my job right now. Yes.
That's pretty cool. So that's congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm making a tour in cinemas in France. So next week I'm going back on a tour, and I'm going to do 25 dates in just 3 weeks. So this is a lot also, yeah.
Wow, that's very challenging.
It is. Thank you.
Okay, well, that's good. And then, what good recommendation would you provide to someone that doesn't know anything about the Camino, but wanted to do?
So what would be my advice to do it? So I would say, of course, it's going to be very basic, cliche to say that, but try to prepare your backpack well, to have it as light as possible, and take time to prepare it well, because it's going to be your companion. Of course, this is the practical thing. And take shoes that you already know, that are adapted to your foot. And then if we go more on the spiritual side, I would say definitely go there with your heart open. Go there with an open mind to receive new ideas, and maybe just take a notebook and a pen with you, and try to dedicate a bit of time writing on the evening, And also try to let your phone on an airplane mode as much as you can, of course, because you will get inspired also more if you don't scroll on Instagram or Facebook the whole day. So this would be my advice. It's a lot of advice, but I would say that.
Okay, well, that's pretty good. And then, how would you define the Camino in no more than 5 words?
5 words to define the Camino. I would say, wow, what comes to me directly is the way to love.
Okay.
This is.
And why would you say that?
I would say that because this Camino helped me to accept my vulnerability and to love myself and to love the others more. I was in so much pain sometimes, like emotional pain, because walking was hard, especially at the beginning, and I was not sure I would finish the step and so on. And like, I felt so much loved by the Camino, but also the people I met, and I was helped all the way. I was always helped in the moment in which I needed the most, and it helps me a lot on that path of loving myself more.
So you would say that the experience at the Camino changed your life?
Yes, I would say that, definitely. And I would also add that it changed my life for 2 reasons. First, I decided to go walking. I decided to change my life before doing this first step on the Camino. I was very determined in this. I wanted to change something. So I prepared myself also in that direction. And after the Camino, I also kept on doing the small steps every day. When I went back from the Camino, I had no job, no apartment. I had to start from zero almost, And I decided to continue walking, and it was not easy, It takes time to change your life. So it took years, also to be able to have a profitable activity. Right now, it's working. I'm living from my different activities, but it took several years. So I really want to say, be patient and compassionate with yourself. But like, if you're very clear about the fact that you want a new direction and you go on the Camino and you use it as a catalyst to change your life and you try to apply the lessons from the Camino when you go back home, it can definitely be a very good catalyst for that.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you just say, Pauline. And then I would add here that nowadays that we are having the AI and all the things that are happening around, yes, those are also things that you can see as an opportunity, that you can take advantage of all those things. AI is going to help, but you need to be on top of that and learn, because you can have a lot from that new technology that is going around now. I was listening to an interview this morning, and they were mentioning that the power of the AI is like what happened when we came from the steam to the electricity.
Wow.
That there were few at the beginning. There were few factories that started investing in electricity, because they say, well, we rely on the steam and all that. So, but then with the time, they see that the investment that they did on the electricity helped, and that was a big revolution. So now we're going to be in the revolution of technology.
I love it.
It's a lot for helping us. There are bad actors, yes, always there are bad actors, but let's do the good things about that technology.
I totally agree. And, I'm always saying AI can give us more time. It could give us more time because it can do stuff that we would not need to do anymore. The problem is that we are in a fast-paced society in which it's very hard for us to slow down. But normally, I mean, if you use AI in the right way, you can have a little bit more time to do what is meaningful in your life. This should be the goal. To delegate some stuff to AI to be more free.
Correct. I totally agree with you. I believe that AI, if you know how to use it, it's going to allow you to have more time with your family and the people that you love. Okay. Well, Pauline, anything else that you would like to add before we conclude today's interview?
I would say thank you so much again for hosting me on your podcast. I would say maybe actually we are speaking about rhythm, we are speaking about AI, the fact that everything is going too fast. And the thing I would like to add is that the Camino helped me also to listen to my own rhythm. Because I was observing nature and I was realizing how much nature has its own rhythm. Like, as I say in the movie, an apple tree doesn't produce apple the whole year. It has its own seasons. And this is something that I learned a lot from the Camino, is to respect my own seasons. There is a time for working a lot and there is a time for rest. And it's very important to be resting fully and to be also sometimes working fully, to be very present in everything. And for me, walking in nature was a good way to realize that I kind of had a burnout because I was pushing myself too hard. And I learned to listen to my body and to its own rhythm on the Camino.
Yeah, that's very good. Well, thank you, Pauline, for being here today. And for you, Pilgrims, keep watching our episodes, and please also add your comments to the comment section and let us know what topics would you like to see in future episodes. So thank you very much, and buen camino.
Thank you so much.